What was the most ducked up thing you saw in school? In 6th grade, my math teacher was arrested for having child pornography on his laptop and watching it during breaks. He had just finished helping me on a math problem when he looked up at me, smiled, and said, "I really like that birthmark on your face. It looks like a teardrop." It looks really cute when the vice principal walks into the room and asks him to step outside. We had big wind down in our classroom and the front door was wide open. Outside stood the entire administration and 2 police officers. The vice principal took his laptop and they left. Never saw that teacher again. The white dove they released for Peace Day got immediately snatched mid-flight by a red-tailed hawk. This was in elementary school. Saw a girl stomp on another girl's jaw with her high-heeled boot for looking at her boyfriend at the next lunch table over. I heard she had to get her jaw wired. A kid in my biology class accidentally stabbed his face with scissors. Then another kid chased him out of the room with a microscope slide to catch a few drops of blood. So he took his blood-covered slide and the teacher resignedly let us see the red blood cells still moving around. The stabbed kid was fine. A few stitches and he was good to go. Saw a kid throw a pickleball paddle at a gym teacher. Knocked her unconscious. Blood everywhere. He was suspended for some time. Was an asshole. Mexican gang member stabbed another Mexican gang member in the neck with a pencil. In class. It was 8th grade. He lived. A guy literally crapting on a teacher's desk. A kid hung himself on a playground our senior year. I hear his brother found him. This all happened a week after 2 of the brother's friends, also seniors, died when they wrapped their classic Mustang around a tree near the HS. Made for a rough senior year to say the least. My middle school teacher did a thing where we could bring our pets to school. A kid in my class got attacked by a macaw after he tried to grab it off a desk so he could play with it and had to go to the hospital to get stitches. I was suspended and grounded for bringing a macaw to school. When I was 8 we were making cookies in class and they gave us square cheese graters to make chocolate chips with because they didn't trust us with knives. A fair judgment. Some kid was holding a few graters and pretended to be a robot. This girl shouted at him because he wasn't a robot and proceeded to take one of the graters and grate his hand. Lots of blood happened and then a pair of twins both fainted. Someone hung themselves in the girls' locker room. People came in to change and had to hold her feet up to make sure that she didn't die. It was ducked. It was a rival football game and the stands were packed. A section of the old wood bleachers collapsed and 20 or so students went to the hospital with numerous broken bones, concussions, and lacerations of various degrees. During the same game, I saw a guy get hit so hard in the leg that it shattered and both bones were showing. Poor kid ended up in a wheelchair for the rest of the school year. I was in HS in the 90s. They announced the odd verdict over the PA system. A kid jumped over the balcony to try and beat the rush on mashed potato day. He broke both his legs. Did not get his potatoes. A girl with bulimia tried to shout down a spiral staircase, but because her gag reflex was so weak she vomited from a great height instead. Oh, the splash. These 2 kids got into fight at my school. Somewhere during the tussle one kid lost his balance and on the way down threw the meanest uppercut ever. He connected on the other kid's bare teeth and pushed them into his gums. He ducked up his own hand really bad. Blood just everywhere and no teachers in sight for like another 3 minutes. A kid clipped the tip of his tongue off with a pair of safety scissors after someone dared him to. Some girl broke up with a guy, so he smeared his crap on her locker and pissed all over it. Nothing that I personally saw at my high school was disturbingly ducked up. Just weird. Some kid smuggled in a bunch of onions and clogged all the downstairs toilets with them. Who the hell does that? Some dumbass kid stuck a pair of tweezers in an old outlet that didn't even have a circuit breaker, so IDK how he didn't die. I was in 9th grade. One of our classmates got drunk, stripped and streaked the lunchroom, gymnasium, basically any place crowded. The staff was afraid to tackle a naked teenager, so we all got an eyeful. In my school there was a kid, or multiple kids, we don't know, who would crap in a urinal every once in a while. They were known as the urinal crapter. Someone made a meme with the Grim Reaper going to the doors template with all the bathrooms they had done it in, and the Reaper going into the last bathroom, the office bathroom. The meme spread very quickly, and I guess some teachers saw it. Since there is blood in the meme, coming from under all the closed doors, they decided it was a credible threat of violence. They closed the school for 2 days for safety concerns. Just a super weird story all around. Someone had taken a massive crap. It was larger than a coffee cup in width and considerably longer. So large it was impossible to flush. People were lined up into the halls to see this monstrosity, including faculty. You know it's a small town when a turd calls that much attention. Edit. Damn, this blew up. Thanks for the silver and all the upvotes. On a side note, I never knew that such thing as a poop knife existed, but thank you dear editors for the laughs. There was a girl I was friends with who had developed early and had pretty big boobs and considered thick for a 5th grader. Hanged with a group of 5 or 6 girls. Most of the girls in this group were short, skinny, and the pretty ones of the class, so she stuck out from that group. During recess these 5 girls ganged up on her and pulled down, sometimes ripping her shirt exposing her chest, and laugh cause they thought it was funny. She'd fight it and tell them to stop, but they'd do it even more, sometimes pinning her arms to the side so they could. She ended up hanging out with me more and finding different friends in middle school. I was chilling in the band room and I look out to the hall to see a kid with some sort of liquid coming out of his eye. Later I found out some kid stabbed his eye with a pencil. A girl was coming back from a doctor's appointment and wasn't there to hear that we couldn't get out equipment for recess. She opened the door, grabbed something and went to leave. The wind kicked up and slammed the door on her hand and she lost a finger. They rushed her to the hospital and they sewed it back on and eventually it was back to normal, but that was the most ducked up thing I had seen. In 1st grade a boy pulled his pants and underwear to below his knees and laid down on his back. Then a girl spat on him. I don't remember why, but I will never forget that sight. We, entire school, watched some guy jump from 12th floor. A couple ducking in the dumpster behind the cafeteria. For the rest of the year, people would walk up behind the dude crinkling paper and asking if it was getting him hard. Just to add a bit, 4 or 5 of my friends and I stumbled upon this event while we were coming back on campus, and one of them went to throw his trash away. It got around the school pretty damn fast. It's probably a good thing that I'm old enough that the smartphone wasn't a thing when I was in high school, because there's a good shot that one of the group would have been dumb and taken a picture that included a 17-year-old having sex. We were in 4th grade and class just let out for a 5-minute break. I was with a group of girls and we walked into the bathroom. On the far wall was a giant ring of crap painted in the shape of a heart. There was even visible and disguised food in the feces that, for some reason, is burned into my memory. There was a kind of a widget. The principal called out students in the hallway, one by one, to question the kids. No one confessed as far as I remember, but there was a lot of suspicion surrounding a boy who liked to talk about buds and flatulence. I'm not even sure that he did it, but make too many asshole jokes in class and something like this happens. You are suspect #1. Some kid kept crapting in the sink every week, and they had to keep cleaning it up. One day I walked in the bathroom and someone had put crap on the wall. About a month into my first year of high school, 2 girls got into a fight during lunch. The principal got hold of one of them and was pulling her away. She was trying to break free, and during that it popped out. The principal tried getting her shirt back on her, but ended up grabbing her tit instead. A giant hawk swooped down on campus and sunk its talons into the back of a squirrel foraging for acorns about 20 or 25 yards from me. Scared the bejesus out of me. He stood on it like a boss for a few seconds and then flew off with it. This was at like 7:30 in the morning, so it took me a while to wrap my brain around it. The guy walking in front of me spun around and said, Please tell me you saw that. I saw the pet teacher getting a heart attack during class and dying. It was ducking scary. There was a ginger vegan that would chew carrots up in his mouth and chase people around, spitting carrots at them. He ended up getting his head slammed into a bag hook in a fight afterwards. Watch two girls get into a fight. One girl had a bunch of ear piercings and was wearing so many hoops it looked like chainmail. The other girl got her on the ground, grabbed those hoops and pulled hard. I will never forget the scream. The rings didn't give, but her ear sure as hell did. Blood everywhere. The girl standing over her like a goddamn psychopath holding a very recognizable ear in the air above her head. It was ducking Mortal Kombat in real life. A girl had diarrhea and was wearing tights and sitting in class, and the tights started getting really lumpy, but she didn't get up to go to the bathroom. Many years ago I sat next to a kid in high school who went on to kill his mom. He would always bring in photos of homemade bombs from 2-liter bottles, flamethrowers from squirt guns, etc. I thought it was the coolest thing and was so impressed by it until later on when I recognized I was encouraging a to-be murderer to keep being violent. The boys in my class bred mold in one of the lockers. They managed to get milk so moldy. Some yellow fluid was all around it. Saw 3 little dudes try to jump this massive mountain of a guy in the cafeteria. He fended them off pretty good till the teachers who were football coaches managed to break it up. I had a friend that was allergic to so many things he had to eat the same thing every day that he brought from home. I literally mean every day for years. He had a very bad day, failed a test, some things happened at home. We met up at lunch, and he had 2 slices of pepperoni pizza. He told said today seems like a good day to die, and proceeded to wolf down both slices. I had never seen him so happy. I walked him to the nurse's office as he ballooned up. He was hospitalized for 2 weeks. He never regretted the decision. So ducked up on a funny way. 2 guys were yelling in the hallway, and it was about to come to blows. Guy 1 goes back to swing at guy 2 and proceeds to miss by mile into another girl. Girl kicks guy 1 square in the balls. He falls back into another student, and then it dominoes into the crowd that had gathered around. The teacher that was in the way came running up and slipped on something and went into the air and landed straight on his back. I swear it was like something in a movie. No one was really hurt, but God, that series of events was timed perfectly. Someone's phone blew up in our school courtyard. Rest of the day smelt like battery juice. Edit. WTH, I didn't expect my upvotes to blow up. No pun intended. Edit 2. These comments came out of Area 51, I'm pretty sure. In high school a guy punched a girl in the face, slammed her head into the wall, and threw her on the ground. He was big and mean enough that the adults just froze in their tracks. Someone found our choir teacher in a Pornhub video. He had to come to school the next day, but he couldn't teach class, so he was just aimlessly walking around school all day. By that time, everyone had either seen the video or they knew about it. He eventually got fired. I seen a teacher have a literal mental breakdown in front of an entire class. He was our English teacher and was in charge of looking after the kids that other teachers could and wouldn't deal with. I guess one day he just snapped, stood up, threw a chair at a pupil, and started punching holes in walls and screaming in a really psychotic manner. The teacher next door heard the commotion and realized pretty quickly what was happening. She came in and persuaded him to go with her to the staff room or something, and we never seen him again. A dude went into the hallway and cut himself with scissors. He had gotten in trouble from a teacher he hated and sent into the hallway. I was in the classroom, so I didn't see him actually do it. But when he got inside there was blood on his clothes/hands. Later talked to the kid and saw the cuts going from his thumb to his wrist. They didn't seem deep, but there were a lot of them, and I had been worried. Edit. I'm not in touch with him now, but he didn't appear to harm himself after the incident. He did have some anger problems, though. Might have something to do with family. In high school knew a kid who was a legitimate crackhead. stated arguing with the security guards one day, and ended up punching a security glass window hard enough to crack it. Pretty sure he broke multiple bones in his hand. Also didn't see, but heard about a girl in a gangbang in one of the stairwells. No one wanted to use it after the new came out. Not desperately ducked up, but the best prank played on a teacher I know of was when my younger brother found a giant test tube in the cupboards up the back of the chemistry lab. He farted in it, sealed it with his hand, then walked up to the teacher and asked what experiment had been done in it. Because it had a funny smell, teacher naturally took an inquisitive sniff. We had this real pervy dude who later threatened to shoot up the school. He would constantly grab girls and harass people, and eventually he decided to duck around with the sister of two identical twin brothers who are nearly 6'6". Needless to say, they tore him apart. Hit him so hard his shoe flew off, then beat him for another 30 seconds. He was covered in blood, could hardly walk, and had his other shoe stolen by the twins. As they were being escorted out, in cuffs, everyone started cheering and yelling to free them. Edit. Spelling edit. So upon talking to a friend who was there, they broke his arm and gave him a concussion.